But first of all, Scott, how surprised were you to see this activity on Octagon Pond?
Unfortunately, it wasn't that surprising. Realistically, in the pursuit of fun, people will go to pretty far lengths to get what they want done.
And what struck you about it?
Oh, there were many things that struck me about it. The speed, the distance they were covering on the ice, the potential thickness of the ice. There are just many things that are wrong with that situation.
Well, let's take it one at a time. Talk about the thickness of the ice. What about if these guys had checked?
Yeah, even if they checked, because of the size of Octagon Pond, there's very little chance you could check and make sure all the areas were safe. And so even with your due diligence in one area, covering the size of that lake, there's no way to be vigilant about the entire area.
And what about the speed?
The speed is definitely a factor. They're going to get farther away. They'll be very distant from anyone if they did go in that could save them. And at that speed, if you break through the ice, there's a very good chance you just plummet right under the ice that's already frozen, and then you can't find your way back up to get air, and you just sort of drown underneath the water.
It's just a terrible thing to contemplate, Scott. Talk about the fact that they were on clear ice and then they were racing farther down the pond where it was snow covered. What difference does that make?
Well, the snow essentially acts as an insulation on when the sun comes up and goes down. And so with the varying temperatures we have here in St. John's and Newfoundland, you'll get some days where the ice is frozen and then it thaws and it freezes. And so with clear ice where the snow isn't, it will change accordingly and you can tell where there's a problem. But when the snow covers it, it is more likely to not be safe because it didn't melt or freeze properly again, and then you're more likely to run into cracks and fall through.
So what did you think of the wheelies and the guy on the quad that was spinning around? He wasn't even in the seat.
I really can't speak to the safety of that. It was surprising.
Mm-hmm. Scott, we seem to have had variable temperatures so far this winter. We're going to have warm-ups and cool-downs, it seems. What do you want to say to the public about our conditions?
The biggest thing would be that the ice is going to change, and if you're vigilant and check regularly on the ice that you're using, then you can be safe. Our recommendation is always, if possible, to stay off the ice. But if you're going to use an area of ice, make sure that you check repeatedly for the proper thickness, the 4 inches when you're on as a person, and then 5 inches or 6 inches when you have ATVs and snowmobiles and things like that.
Okay, and I guess final point from you, that bit of fun is not really worth it in your view?
No, it seems like a little bit of fun for a possibility of a lot of negative results.